Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today we're going to be talking about Opentoonz news. Okay, so far I have 4 stories where I've reported on, and it's been about Opentoonz news. I have Opentoonz 1.1.3 is here. That's my first story about Opentoonz, or news about Opentoonz, how to purchase tunes as well. That's my second story that I covered. I consider that about Opentoonz because Tunes is pretty much just Opentoonz, just commercialized. Then I have my testing out OTX news story, which was my third video about Opentoonz news, and then showcasing Opentoonz Marevna. So I've got 4 stories about Opentoonz, and none of it has really been too much about me. This video, however, even though it's about Opentoonz, somehow, it starts out with me talking about something that I created, and then somehow I get woven into the story a heck of a lot more, and I did not have any intention of doing that, but I'm going to report on it anyways. So I've created a bounty, okay, and the way that you do this is you basically go into Opentoonz's GitHub page, github.com. Alright, and what you do is you get into the Opentoonz section of Opentoonz of GitHub. Let me see if I can find it. Read guide. What in the world? Okay, so issues get gists. Let me see if I can find it. Your stars. I think that's where you go. I have 1 star, I believe. Opentoonz/Opentoonz is how I get into it. It takes a while for. It's hard to understand GitHub, so I can't give you a full tutorial on how to do all this. But basically, what I did is I created an issue. So I go into issues. And what happened, if my computer can cooperate sometime this century. Okay, so what you do is you click here, and then you type in an issue of some sort, and then you copy the URL for it, and then you go into bountysource.com. Okay, this is if you want to create a bounty. Okay, you go ahead and you paste that URL for your issue, and you go post, and then it takes you to a page just like this one right here, just like this one, and then you can go ahead and donate. And I've already donated to my own bounty right here, $10. By next week sometime, actually by next Monday, not this next Monday, but the Monday after that, I should have a little bit more money donated into this. Basically, what this bounty is requesting is a new tool at our disposal, which is, it'd be nice to be able to draw your backgrounds in Opentoonz. As it currently stands, the program seems to lack the necessary tools for effectively drawing your backgrounds in perspective in Opentoonz. So it'd be nice to have something like that, the assistant tool in Krita, and having that in Opentoonz, especially their vanishing point and fisheye perspective guide. So this is what I'm requesting for those of you that don't really know what I'm talking about, and those that don't really follow my channel. So inside of Krita, we have a tool called the assistant tool. And we can set it to vanishing point, which allows us to do something like that, where I can go ahead and create a vanishing point. I can pull out my brush tool and then turn on the assistant. I can either do that by ticking the assistant ticker, or I can press Control-Shift-L and it automatically does it. And so if I turn it off and then go ahead and just quickly draw a box of some sort, and then press Control-Shift-L, I can quickly just have all my lines just go towards that guide. I could press Control-Shift-L once again, and now I have a nice looking cube type of object right there. And I could pull out my assistant once again, and I can just click and click, pull out my brush, and I can quickly just turn on my assistant real quick, and I can quickly just draw another rectangular cube really quick and easy. And so this is an invaluable tool if you want to draw in perspective, basically on the computer. And so I highly recommend it. Like, of course, you know, Krita even still has a few issues it needs to work out because I'm having difficulty drawing the line, and sometimes Krita has difficulty knowing which assistant you're trying to guide your line towards. But ultimately, this is a very, very effective tool, and inside of Krita, I'm able to activate or deactivate my assistant. So that assistant that I deactivated, I'm not able to use it. You can see the lines that are following my cursor. The one for the vanishing point over here is no longer functioning at all, so that's pretty cool. I can move my assistants around and create more even by accident, and start deleting them, or press a button that says delete all. Alright, so that's the first feature that I'm requesting. Now there are actually a lot of interesting features that are available inside of the assistant tool that I would like to see from this bounty, but I doubt it's going to happen, such as the concentric ellipse, the fisheye point, the infinite ruler, the parallel ruler, the perspective ruler, I'm sorry, spline, and vanishing point. So let me go ahead and show you the fisheye perspective portion of the assistant. So I'm able to create two vanishing points that are horizontal, and I can go ahead and just create how big I want the circle to be. Then I can create two vanishing points at the top and bottom, and then finish off my circle. And then I can go ahead and go vanishing point, and basically I have 5 vanishing points. I can pull out my brush, and then I can really quickly just draw out a cube that exists within basically a 180 degree panoramic image. So that's the cool thing about fisheye perspective. You're able to make panoramic images, and so like if I were to draw one that was say like something like right here, it looks as if I'm looking down at the cube, and so that's kind of cool. So this is like 180s from left to right, and 180 degrees going up and down as well. So right here we'll be looking up at the cube as well. And so let me go ahead and just finish this off. So, okay, so we have 3 cubes, one that we're looking down at, one that we're still looking down at, but that's off in the distance a little bit, and we're looking up at that one. And so these are invaluable. The assistant tool instead of Krita is amazing. I highly recommend it for anybody that wants to draw in perspective. And so that's what I want inside of Opentoonz. And so if you are not able to donate, if you are kind of like me, where in my specific situation I literally spend as little time as humanly possible where I happen to live, because it's just a horrible living environment, and so I'm dirt poor, okay? So, and yet I'm spending a lot of money on things for basically my blog and donations for Opentoonz and such like that. If you're like me, but only that you're not investing anyways, you can still promote this if you're not able to donate. Let's say you're only like 10, 15 years old and you don't have a job. That's okay. If you still want this feature, you can still support this in a different way. You can go to variously different places online, and just, you know, post this link, which is inside of the video description of this video. That way more people will be able to see that this feature can be added into Opentoonz. And at that point, the more people that see that this feature can be in Opentoonz, if they actually want it and are willing to donate, then we have a higher likelihood of meeting the quota. And I'll get into that in just a second, talking about the quota. Now, I've been talking to the Morevna guys, and the guys that made the Morevna edition of Opentoonz, and I showed them this particular bounty, And this is what they had to say. It says, "This looks really promising. Thank you for posting this. I needed to talk to my developer about this." And then he continues and says, "Meanwhile, I have a proposal for you. I've noticed that you are doing a lot to promote Opentoonz, including our build. There are some people that donated right after your video was posted, which helps a lot," which is really good to hear, actually. "I thought that it would be fair if you can get a percentage, 15% to be more exact, from donations that come through your videos. This is easy to set up through our affiliate system." Okay, I pretty much read everything that I really want to read about this. The answer is no, by the way. In fact, I told him that I don't want to get 15% or any money from this, because I don't want it to ever feel like when I say, "Hey guys, donate $10 or something, please," it'd be really cool. I don't want you guys to feel like I just want to get a quick buck. My channel is young, and I don't feel as if I deserve it at this point. I'm not quite there yet. So not only that, like, if I want you to donate to something that's going to pay a developer to get us something cool, I want you to actually get what you're paying for. I want you to I want that money to go to the developer. And here, let me go ahead and show you guys that what I said specifically. "Well, I want to stay in touch as far as knowing impact. It'd be nice if you could let me know somehow what the impact is. However, I want all the money to go to the developer. Eventually, I'll get enough money from ad revenue and product sales." Let's see here. Yep, that's pretty much all the relevant information. And so down here, he says, or he or she, I don't know exactly. I mean, their avatar is a woman, but that doesn't mean anything. "From our experience with Opentoonz code, the assistant tool looks like it's pretty clear to implement. We have estimated the price for this work is $700. So if we could meet that $700 quota, then that would be great. Of course, you are not obligated to do so by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that if you want this feature, like, and you want it done right, it'd be much appreciated if you were to donate, so that the developer feels inclined and motivated to do it right." Because there's a lot of situations, especially with GIMP, where the program has a lot of cool features and everything, but, you know, as time goes by, it's like the programmers get sloppy and even more sloppy and stuff like that, until you have this really feature-rich program, but none of these features are really implemented very well. And they're just kind of slapsticked together and stuff like that. I don't want Opentoonz to ever get to the point where it's just slapsticked together, and it kind of sort of has some really cool ideas and really cool features, but none that do it very well. I don't want Opentoonz to ever get to that point. So if you want this feature and you want it done right, seriously, go ahead and consider giving a good donation there. And as I've already shown you guys, I had an offer for 15% and I declined that offer. And let me go ahead and explain why. I even created a full-on PowerPoint presentation for you guys with LibreOffice, which is an open source version of basically what you would expect to get from Microsoft Office. Okay, so how Orphanlast views open source software development, what it is and what it can be versus commercial software development. Okay, so this is the way I look at it. Okay, it's not necessarily all 100% fact. It's just, you know, it's a perception, and sometimes all that you need is a perception in order to make things be as you see that they should be. So let me go ahead and move on through here. So I've kind of got this little comparison model here. The corporate software model is in the red. The open source software model is to the right. Okay, so with the corporate software model, the company endorses content creators on YouTube, and the company can expect money and marketing exposure for the endorsement. So once a YouTuber gets something like 10,000 to 1 million subscribers, a lot of times the YouTuber can either approach a company, or the company company can approach the YouTuber and say, hey, we'll be able to give you something for free if you do something like an unboxing or a product review or something like that. And if your channel is big enough, they'll not only say, hey, we'll be willing to give you a Cintiq, but also offer you something like $600 for just one video. And so that's pretty cool. So that's how, and what the company gets out of that is, once they're able to see that you have so many viewers and you get a lot of views and a lot of minutes watched, they have these statistics to kind of calculate the estimated amount of sales that they're probably going to get because you happen to have featured their product on your video. So that's how it works with commercial software. Now, this is the way that I look at it with open source software. It's the content creator on YouTube that endorses the open source software that the content creator either likes or sees that the open source program that shows promise in some way. And the content creator gets paid in the form of a free program that progressively gets more and more competitive, more and more professional when compared to something like commercial software. This is especially true if the content creator has a trusted name, which my channel is only something like, ever since I started posting about Opentoonz and stuff like that, it's only been something like 7 to 8 months or something like that. So I'm not quite there. I haven't quite earned that title of being the trusted YouTuber quite yet, but that's where I want to be. I want to have the trusted name and a large audience. Again, I'm not quite there, but I will be. One day I will have a lot of subscribers. So, and this is due to the content creator's ability to publicize and crowdfunding, be it Patreon, Bounty Source, Kickstarter, etc. So a YouTuber is in a unique situation to basically advertise something amazing. And the reason why the YouTuber should be doing it is so that they have the tools at their disposal to do what they love doing. And that's exactly it right there. Because, like, I don't have enough money to pay for Toon Boom. And although I can afford $10 a month for something like Adobe Flash every single month, then I would also want Photoshop, which then ups it to something like $20 a month, that I'll be paying indefinitely, and I'll never actually own either of those programs. I'll just be paying them forever, which makes no sense. Which I'm not interested in, just paying something forever just for the sake of paying for it forever. So let's move on. Corporate software model. The company decides what new features will be in their next iteration of the program. Now, with the open source software model, it's the power to the people. The people who use the program can control what features get improved and added into the program. And they can do this by either typing in the source code themselves. If they know how to make a computer program, they can actually crack open the program and make whatever changes they want themselves, or if they're capable of partaking in crowdfunding, they can go ahead and spend a little bit of money to help get those bounties filled so that the developer can get paid. And if they can't do that, then they can participate by either donating or by helping find ways they can market the bounties to make sure that enough people get to see the bounty as much as possible, so that there's a chance that other people can donate. If you can't donate, you can publicize the requested feature and see that if you can get other people to donate if you can't. So this is something to consider. Basically, if you see something cool that could be in the program, I don't understand why you wouldn't be spreading the word if you can't personally donate. So there you have that. So corporate software model, okay? The company gets funding by a few rich people with big wallets that are only interested in profit margins. Basically, it's software made by corporations for corporations, okay? So If you're a big company and such like that, you got guaranteed sales by other big companies that want that software. So what they're doing is they're making the program for those companies. The everyman is easily forgotten because the everyman doesn't have as much money as the big corporations. They don't see basically the corporations don't see the everyman as the consumer. Now there is an exception to the rule here. Corporations do use open source programs quite a bit, but most of the time the consumer never is ever really aware of it and never even hears about it or uses it, and probably would never even want to use it, such as like the whole system that's calibrated to work for a whole company's set of servers, whether it's for their internet services or for their intranet services. Okay, so I remember working at a distribution center at one point in time, and they had a computer system that looked like a really old command line based version of Linux. I don't know why they would be still using a command line operating system to operate the company, but that's what they're doing. I mean, it's 2017, but that's what they're doing for some stupid reason. But yeah, open source is used quite a bit by corporations, but by and large, if you're a company that needs a product made by another company, such as animation, then it's software made by corporations for corporations. But if it's open source, if we're talking about the open source model, the software is either further developed out of the love of the program or by tens of thousands of people willing to donate, sometimes $10 here and there, sometimes, which has actually has all the potential to actually get better funding for the open source software. It has all the potential to get better funded than commercial software, because it's just like for commercial software, it's just a few rich men in a room, or rich women in a room, with a big wallet here and there. Whereas when we're talking about open source software, let's say I had, hypothetically, something like 1 million, 2 million subscribers or something like that, and I'm like, hey guys, look at this feature that's being requested for this program that we all love so much. Now, if just a quarter of them donated 10, 20 bucks or something like that, that's a lot. That's a decent amount of money right there. And some people, donate more than that, than just $10, $20 here and there. But anyways, the developers are free to work instead of the open source model. The developers are free to work on whatever projects they want, even if this sometimes means that they go against the grain a bit. But that's the thing. Open source is about freedom. And if you ever have used Linux before, you understand exactly what I mean by developers going against the grain, where they make a program that operates under some obscure sort of, I don't know, open source ecosystem, whatever, that kind of messes around with things. But anyway, so you get the idea. Let me move on to the next step. We've all seen those impressive images of how fancy the Google offices are, and we think, gosh, man, wouldn't it be nice to work there? But if that's what you actually think, you're wrong. It's not nice to work there. It's nice looking because they want their developers to feel comfortable there, while the company demands that their employees work far more than just 40 hours every work week. Oftentimes, developers rarely get the chance to even leave the office to see their wife and kids. This business model pays well for the developers. It pays the developers really well, but what doesn't pay well when you're working more than 80 hours per pay period and have your life and soul ripped from you? You think about it that way, it's not as nice as you might think just by looking at these offices and such like that. And that's just one example. I mean, other companies do the exact same thing. Microsoft does the same thing. Even Apple does the same thing. And if you're not willing to work more than 80 hours every pay period, then they're not going to keep you around. They're going to call you a lazy ass and give you the boot. And it's a lot of work. So anyways, Inside of the open source software model, basically they offer software with competitive features when contrasted to commercial software, especially if development has enough marketing and donations. And that's where I come in. I come in with the marketing. Of course, I'm still a small channel, but if I was something like 60 times larger, 70, 80, 90, 100 times bigger of a channel than I am right now, and marketing the development of Opentoonz, then the odds of Opentoonz continuing to be competitive and feature rich, with not just feature rich, but where the added features are continue to be competitive and well implemented and everything. That is where my marketing area of expertise has to come in as a YouTube content creator, and my ability to be able to market it opens it up to where more and more people can see and be aware. Oh, this is a feature request. Oh man, I could donate to that and possibly in like 6 or 7 months be able to use that. That's cool. You know, that's what I'm after. But anyways, it's software. Open source software is software by the everyman for the everyman. Some open source licenses also prevent the legal distribution of their code from being implemented into commercial software, which can give some open source software just as much of an edge as any commercial software. So with the corporate software model, not everyone can afford the software, even if they have the necessary skill set to use it. And sometimes, even ownership of the software isn't guaranteed, like with my previous example with Adobe. Nowadays, you pretty much have to rent it forever, which is stupid. Yeah, and then basically you're just renting it, and you never pay it off, and you'll never really own it. Ownership is not necessarily guaranteed with the corporate software model, and I'll get into this sort of topic again a little bit in this video and delve a little bit deeper. So with the open source software model, everyone is included. Anyone and everyone can get the software. Ownership is guaranteed. Once you download it, it's on your computer, and like you're not going to get bothered every 2 seconds saying, "Hey, you need to pay your $20 for the month." Hey, you need to pay your $20 for the month. Of course, there's me inside of my videos suggesting payment for a feature, but I do believe that's different because you are not obligated, and I'm not telling you to donate. I'm just saying, if you would like to see this feature in Opentoonz, hey, maybe, it could be something that's in it. And if you want it in the program and if you want it done well, maybe you should donate. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, you can download it usually for free with open source stuff, or at least at a reasonable price. You don't have to resort to outdated versions unless it works best for your hardware. So by that statement, what I mean is, if I want to purchase Adobe Photoshop, which is something that I would like to do at some point, my best bet is to buy an older version of it, which means I need to buy the seriously out-of-date version of it, and even still it's probably going to cost me upwards towards $400 to $500. So that's crappy. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Corporate software model. Corporate software is usually available for Windows or Mac. Usually not for both, but sometimes for both. Now, with the open source software model, 9 times out of 10 open source software is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. And so most of the time you have more options with the software. The corporate software model, on a person-to-person basis, you can settle on paying massive amounts of money for the software you need, or you can still spend a rather large sum of money, but a little less for an old, outdated version of it, like I said earlier, or you could pay rent on the software indefinitely, or you could be presented with the other choice, which I don't like. You can pirate it. You can use a BitTorrent, which seems to be extremely popular nowadays. And I don't see any reason why you should why should you ever be in an environment where you should ever be considering theft? I mean, regardless of if you're able to get away with it or not, that's not even the issue. The issue is morality, ethics, doing the right thing. Pirating, it should not even be something that should ever enter into your mind. And yet the prices of the software is so high that I think just about everyone has done it at some point in time. Just out of desperation, trying to find some way to learn the program, to have some sort of marketable skill. And even after they obtain that marketable skill, there might come a point where, you know, they gain a conscience and they're just like, no, I don't want to pirate anymore. And yet, how are you going to get a job if you're not able to pay for that amount, or unless you wind up pirating it? These are crappy choices. The only other option is hoping that you have a student discount, a student ID, so that you can get a student discount. Which, again, that's just a crappy alternative. Why would you have to do that in order to get the software? It doesn't make sense to me at all. Okay, so going on to the next step with the open source software model. If you're prone to get your software illegally, like pirating, you don't have to risk getting BitTorrenting viruses, which is extremely common when people wind up pirating software and such like that. Viruses are rampant with BitTorrents, and you know, it doesn't matter what anyone says about, oh yeah, you know, I swear by BitTorrents or whatever. You will get viruses, it will kill your computer, and you will be hating yourself. It's dishonest, pirating. It's breaking the law. You shouldn't have to do that when there is a free alternative. A free alternative which offers you the opportunity for you to actually pay the price that you feel as if you're capable of paying. I mean, they're not even asking for a price tag. They're asking you to pay what you think it's worth. And why would you ever BitTorrent? You have something that's free, that has the opportunity to actually be just as professional as any like corporate software. Why would you BitTorrent when you could totally not just help yourself? Like, that's what pirating does. All it is it's you helping yourself and only you. Whereas if you just went with this open source stuff and kind of, you know, just spent what you felt like you could afford, that you thought that you think that the program is worth, at that point, like, really honestly, like, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping developers work so that they don't have to work inside of an office, basically working as a slave all the time, so that they can see their wife and kids, possibly even work inside of the comfort of their own home, and, you know, get paid well for doing it. And not only that, but, you know, you're helping it so that the program gets better development, because it's getting, you know, more donations and everything, and you're helping the entire community. In this case, like, if you're helping donate to the for the Opentoonz, you know, intellectual property and everything like that, you're helping not just the entire Opentoonz community, but the entire animation community as well. Whereas BitTorrenting is just the most selfish thing that you could possibly do. There's a free alternative that can be, and in this case, at this moment, Opentoonz is definitely just as competitive as any of the other software. So I'm sorry, I'm on my high horse here talking about this. It's all about honesty. It's not about getting caught. It's all about honesty. On a person-to-person basis, if everyone was willing to hypothetically occasionally donate $60 a year for their favorite free software, the gross sum of the entire community's donations, funding, and everything has all the potential to actually get more money directly to the developer and finance and reach the finances needed for when compared to commercial software by corporations. So basically, what I'm saying is, on a person-to-person basis, just with a $10 donation here and there, not very much money every year. If everyone that uses open source software donates just a little bit here and there occasionally, the open source community would have every opportunity to have just as much funding for each and every iteration of their software as a commercial piece of software. Because you have to think about this. It's just a few men in suits with big wallets versus the entire world willing to donate $10 here and there. The whole world full of people with $10 here and there obviously mounts up to a bigger amount of money than a few men with big wallets. So let me move on to the next step here. All right, so the corporate software model. Customer support for corporate software is terrible. This can be due to outsourcing, which is very common, where you can't understand a word they say. Or they're flat out insulting because they don't realize that filibustering the words, no, you listen to me now, you listen to me. They don't realize that that's offensive. There have been multiple occasions where I've called into customer service and I've been outright offended just simply because of how I've been spoken to by this outsourced customer service. And sometimes they won't care about the everyman's issue unless you're a big corporation with a technical support issue needing to be resolved, because that's where the money is. And it's a very give a man a fish sort of policy. Now, what I mean by that is, there's the saying inside of Christianity and the quote inside of the Bible. You give a man a fish and he won't go hungry for a day. You teach the man how to fish, and he and his family will basically never go hungry ever again. Now, somewhat recently, actually, my computer was experiencing some serious problems, and so I called Microsoft customer support. And I got this exact same experience that I just described to you. Just some people that I could barely understand, people that wouldn't let me speak, wouldn't let me even finish a sentence. No, you listen to me now, you listen to me. And then, they wanted me to do this remote desktop thing where they can see what's going on my screen and then take complete control over my computer. And then in 45 minutes, they actually got the problem resolved, and which is great. But if the problem ever happens again, I have no idea how to resolve the issue at all. I have no idea how to do that. Whereas with the open source software model, you can't ask for a refund because you got the software for free. If you have a problem with the software, you can learn to code or come up with a dang good feature request with a bounty and find as many good ways to market it for funding. If you need help with an issue, you're talking to fellow users. You can easily go on to all sorts of different open source forums exist, and you can just ask them questions. They all speak the same language, and they're all very familiar about how to solve the problem. Of course, they're not getting paid to do it, so they don't necessarily have to be the most diplomatic people in the world. But the thing is that they are there to help. It's a very friendly community. They're not employees, but at least they can be understood. And typically, they operate under a teach a man to fish sort of policy. Okay, so basically, when I had Ubuntu on one of my computers back in the day, I was experiencing some technical issues and asking questions, and it was a very different sort of experience where here I was getting really out of my comfort zone trying to learn how to work with Linux, and I never really got to that point, but it was actually more accessible than anything that I've experienced out of customer support with corporate anything. If if Linux were to have completely taken a dump on me like how my computer did just a few months ago, I could have easily just gotten on my phone, asked for a lot of help inside of the open source forums, and eventually, within a few weeks, it would have taken me to finally resolve the issue. But at that point, from that point forward, if that problem ever popped up again, I could solve the problem every time all on my own. Whereas with what I experienced with Microsoft customer support, it was irritating, it was insulting. They tried to sell me a bunch of crap, and like $500 worth of crap, and they fixed the program, which I'm grateful for, but you know, I have no idea how to fix the problem. Anyways, guys, I do believe that's the end of the presentation. So anyways, so if that's I hope you guys appreciated the presentation and stuff. Those are reasons why I don't feel like I should get 15%. Once again, if you guys are interested in getting an assistant tool for Opentoonz, feel free to donate to the bounty. If not, if you don't have any money, if you go onto social media and publicize the crap out of this. Once again, the link is inside of the video description of the video. If you want this feature, which I believe you do, go ahead and publicize the crap out of it. Like, please. It'd be awesome. I really want this software I really want this feature. It'd be cool. Anyways, I'm just babbling at this point. If you guys like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways.